We all grieve differently, and losing someone you love can make you wish to have them back, even to the extent that you are willing to do anything in your power to bring them back to life. Unfortunately, it can result in obsession. You will not just be able to let them go so easily. This movie is about Adam, a genetics professor and cloning researcher who lost his spouse Dawn and wants to clone her back to life. Will he be successful? We'll see. In the opening scene of Andover, Adam explains to the cloned version of his wife Dawn the reason he created her. To better understand, he explains how she passed away in a fire outbreak, where she was trapped and burned to ashes. To confirm this, he shows her the ashes that were left of her. Dawn is scared. She finds it hard to believe. He lets her know he brought her back because of the love he has for her. But while Dawn is trying to stop Adam from talking, because her emotions are running wild, she gets more scared and falls from the attic. He rushes to save her, but can't because she's gone. To better understand what is happening, we see a flashback. Adam wants to propose to the real Dawn, but he does not know how. He stares at the ring constantly and can't wait for Dawn to wake up from sleep. He tries to wake her up, but it does not seem to work. He gives up and thinks of making her favorite, which is pancakes, while he waits for her to wake up. So, off he goes to make the perfect pancakes for her, because she's a vegetarian. But unfortunately, he is not a good chef, because the pancakes keep burning, and he keeps on trashing them until he finally gets it right. He brings her the pancakes in bed and wakes her up. She is surprised, but has no clue he wants to propose. While she takes a bite, she gets pressed, so she rushes to the bathroom. However, this has ruined Adam's plan, as he wishes to propose to her in bed. Well, the plan has to be accomplished, so he proposes while she is using the bathroom. For him, it is urgent, but she thinks it's weird, as anyone would. However, she accepts to marry him. In the next scene, Dawn discusses her unique proposal with her friend Camille at work. Although it is not her dream proposal, she believes it is romantic. However, her friend thinks it is weird and creepy. Now back to Adam. He is a genetics professor and cloning researcher at Andover University. After his class, Emma, one of his students who already has a crush on him, reaches out to him. She praises his intelligence and offers to be his assistant, just to be close to him. Adam appreciates her offer to help, but declines nicely. Seems he can read her mind and knows her intentions. Adam marries Dawn in church, and they say their vows emotionally. They are so into each other, and their families, friends, and loved ones wish them well. Later on, Adam and Dawn ensure their lives. He wants to still be able to take care of her even if something happens, and his wife wants to be able to do the same, even though she finds it strange talking about this as newlyweds. They both agree to never think of either of them losing their lives anytime soon. In the next scene, while at work, Dawn explains how sweet her marriage to Adam has been. It is the best decision she has ever made. Meanwhile, Adam tries to clone a mouse in his lab. He starts the process, but all he can think of is his wife. So he reaches out to Dawn on the phone, asking her to be home early for dinner, because he plans to cook for her. That is how strong their love is. After the call, Dawn rounds things up at work to be home early for dinner, but unfortunately, there is a fire outbreak. She is trapped inside, unable to reach anyone for help, and she loses her life in the fire. Meanwhile, unaware of the tragic incident, Adam is still trying to make her dinner, until the cops stop by his house to inform him about the accident. He is devastated and cannot believe his beloved wife is gone. The pain he feels is undeniably deep. At her burial, he talks about how they met, and wishes she was still alive. But no one knows that this wish is deeply rooted in his being. The family is devastated, and her friends and loved ones sympathize with him for the unfortunate loss. Afterward, Adam's life never remains the same. He could not get over his loss. He thinks of her every day, and in his grief, he calls her number just to hear her voice in the voicemail. He also plays their wedding video just to see her. Later, he comes across their insurance files while trying to check through her things. He meets with their lawyer, who puts him through the necessary documents so he can have access to the money, but he refuses, because he does not want to accept that his wife is gone. The lawyer, understanding his feelings, suggests that he takes his time on it, and advises him to accept his loss and move on. He tries to fill out the insurance form in his lab. Then he sees that he has successfully cloned the lab rat, and this gives him an idea. He thinks of cloning his wife, just like he has done for the rat. Thinking of the next step to take, he leaves for his house. He finds Dawn's hair in her hairbrush and takes it, to collect some DNA samples to further his cause. That same day, he goes to the lab to start the process of cloning her. He uses one strand of her hair to start the process, but feels odd about it at first. He needs to be aware of all that is at stake, and accept to take full responsibility before he clones her. But he has to wait for a long time, because the process he knows takes time and has a slow growth rate. The next day in his class, Adam explains cloning to his students, and mentions the challenge of a slow growth rate. Luckily for him, there is someone with a solution to speed up the process, Emma. She suggests a solution that will quicken the growth rate, and Adam is happy he finally found the missing piece. Right there in front of the whole class, he asks if Emma would still love to be his lab assistant. This is more than a surprise for Emma, and she accepts, coupled with the fact that she sees it as an opportunity to get close to him. After the class, they leave for the laboratory. Adam tries to inform Emma about his plan of cloning his late wife, but he just can't bring himself to tell her. However, she soon discovers his plan when she sees him start the cloning process with one strand of hair. Scared, she advises him to stop, because it is illegal, and he could lose his job if the school finds out. However, a badly grieving Adam refuses to listen, because his mind is made up. This is the only chance of getting his wife back. Emma decides to help him because she likes him. So, now Adam has an accomplice. Adam tries to clone Dawn for the first time, correcting the parameters as Emma suggested. But it fails, because she ages too fast, and they wait until she passes from old age. Emma thinks this happened because he did not normalize the growth rate. She gets worried about how they will go about the body, but they take her to his house. There he burns the body, and explains to Emma how she passed in a fire outbreak. This is why he decides to burn her. Emma feels sorry for his loss, and wishes he can let go. But they need to keep trying, because Adam is not planning to give up anytime soon. The next day in the lab, they decide to keep trying to use a mouse. They keep trying, but it keeps failing. Emma wishes he would just give up and stop, but he will not listen to her. Meanwhile, the insurance agent goes through their file and can't understand why Dawn lost her life. A few weeks after Adam insured her life, which is worth $1 million, he does not want to pay back the money to Adam, and he feels suspicious of him. He begins to think that he might have had a hand in his wife's accident, and decides to keep a tab on him. Back at the lab, Adam and Emma continue to think of how to clone Dawn. Then an idea occurs to Adam. He will clone her and allow her to grow all by herself. Emma agrees with him, but soon begins to wonder how she will grow to love Adam. He is so blinded by his desperation and obsession that he did not think about it. He just wants his wife back, without worrying about what happens next. Adam clones Dawn after many complications, and he takes her home as a baby, to start taking care of her till she grows and can be his wife. Unknown to him, the insurance company officer keeps following him, to find out if he is responsible for the loss of his wife. Then he sees him with a baby. The clone Dawn grows into an adult, and Adam teaches her how to write, draw, eat, and do everything as a lady. But through it all, he is not attracted to her, and he is confused because he doesn't know why. However, the insurance company officer keeps snooping around his house. Adam meets with Emma, explaining to her that he is not attracted to Dawn. She lets him know that it is a good thing, because she knows Dawn will only see him as her father. However, she tasks him with finding out why he is not attracted to her. Adam's colleagues at the university are concerned about his well-being. They believe the demise of his wife has made him distance himself from them. But in all, they hope he is fine. Later, Adam makes pancakes for Dawn, but unlike the late Dawn, she does not like pancakes. Even when Adam tells her that is her favorite, she refuses to eat, making him confused as to why she does not know her favorite food. It doesn't take long for Adam to discover why he is not attracted to her. He sees her as his daughter. He calls Emma to explain to her that he only sees Dawn as his daughter, but she is not surprised. She knew this would happen because it is a complicated situation. Dawn's parents decide to check on Adam by paying him a visit to his house. Dawn's father feels it is better to call him to inform him of their plan to visit, but her mother believes that Adam will give them an excuse. Frustrated, Adam decides to destroy the clone Dawn, and he looks for a way to do that. He tries to explain her demise, and he injects her and takes her upstairs. However, just then, Dawn's parents arrive at the house and knock at his door, but he cannot hear them. Unfortunately, Dawn's mom tries to go through the back door, and sees the clone Dawn in the process. She screams, thinking she has seen a ghost, and asks her husband to take her home. Meanwhile, the insurance agent that keeps snooping around Adam's house sees Dawn's parents, and how the mom screams, asking her husband to take her home. This makes him more suspicious of Adam. Back in the attic, Adam explains to the clone Dawn how she passed away. Scared of the revelation, she falls down the attic. This brings us back to the very beginning of the movie. Then he burns her, and afterward, he plays their wedding video to make him feel better. This incident did not make him give up. Instead, he plans to start the cloning process all over again. Adam sees a therapist, and he explains to her he had a dream where he cloned Dawn, but she was not the same person he fell in love with. The therapist makes him understand that genetics is not the only thing that makes us who we are. Our experiences play a major role too, which includes being raised by our parents. He then thinks that a better way to clone his wife is to involve her parents. How will he be able to approach them? He visits Dawn's parents, and they are happy to see him, not knowing he's there on a mission. He goes through Dawn's childhood pictures, but he does not know how to tell them about his plans. He discovers that her mother is still mourning, and wishes she can bring her back. She feels the loss of her child deeply. Adam sees this as a great opportunity, and he discusses his plans to clone Dawn with her father. He wants them to agree to take care of her, so she could grow up to be the same Dawn they lost. But her father sees it as an insult. He slaps him to let him know that he sounds crazy. The next day, Adam meets Emma in the lab and plans to start another cloning process. This time, they decide to write down everything she likes to help them recreate the perfect Dawn. Since her parents did not agree to his plan, he asks Emma to raise her. She agrees to do it only because of her love for him. Successfully, they recreate another Dawn, and Emma goes home with her to take care of her. She ensures she will grow into a perfect Dawn, with all the personality Adam liked in his late wife. Meanwhile, Adam can't wait to have his wife home. He seems lost to all his colleagues at the university. They believe he needs to take a break, move on, and get laid. But he is so obsessed that he can't think of anything other than to get his wife back. The clone Dawn is now an adult, and Emma's job is done. She takes her to Adam's house, but surprisingly, she refuses to let go of Emma because she sees her as a mother. Adam insists she stays with him, but the clone Dawn is not as perfect as Adam wants her to be. Adam tries to live with her, to teach her everything about his late wife, and even proposes to her, but she refuses to marry him. Frustrated, Adam decides to take her back to Emma because she will not just listen to him. He invites Emma over to his house and asks her to take the clone Dawn back. However, Emma refuses. She also has her life to live and doesn't want any baggage. The clone Dawn overhears their conversation and decides to, since Emma will not take her back. Meanwhile, the insurance agent is still on Adam's tail. He wants to get enough evidence on him, so he keeps snooping around his house. Later, Adam and Emma hear the clone Dawn scream, so they rush to the bathroom to check. Forcing their way in, they meet a gory sight. The clone Dawn has and is lifeless. Emma is scared and thinks it is high time Adam realizes his wife is not coming back. Once again, they burn her body. But Adam thinks of starting the cloning process all over again and won't even listen to Emma, who tries stopping him. Adam recreates another Dawn, and this time, he gets Dawn's best friend involved. She feels it is weird and creepy, but decides to help him regardless. He gives her a list to guide her through the process of taking care of the clone. Seeing the list, she believes that it does not include all the deceased Dawn's experiences. Cammy takes the clone to a prom with her ex-boyfriend. It is all going well, till the clone follows him home. She wants to be with him, and not Adam. This makes Adam feel bad, but he believes she will come back to him. However, while waiting for her to return, Adam decides to make another clone. Emma is against having two clones walking around, so Adam decides to euthanize the old one. He does not let Emma know his plan. Adam goes to where the clone stays with the ex-boyfriend and offers to help her, because she is getting older due to Werner syndrome. The boyfriend agrees with him, because he wants to see her get better. But instead, Adam euthanizes the clone without any feeling of guilt. Emma finds out about what Adam did to the clone, and she rushes down to the laboratory to give him a piece of her mind. She asks him to stop cloning her, because he can't get his wife back. He needs to let her go. However, strong-headed as ever, he refuses to listen, because he has not realized what is wrong with cloning his wife. Emma lets him know how much she respects and likes him, but she realizes it will take a long time for him to even look at her. She decides to quit and also act like him. She will clone him if she can't have the real Adam. That same day, Adam clones his wife. Meanwhile, Emma waits till he finishes in the lab, and after he leaves, she enters the lab to clone him, and once she is done, she takes him to the orphanage. Adam gives the clone Dawn to his female colleague at work, Professor Huen, to take care of her till she grows in 4 months. Still, it fails again, so he euthanizes and burns her as usual, starting the process all over again. Next, he gives her to his male colleague at work, but it fails again. The clone Dawn does not want him, so he euthanizes and burns her as usual. Like a maniac, he does not give up, and he still goes ahead to give it another try. Meanwhile, Emma visits the orphanage to adopt the cloned Adam, as he is all grown up. They inform her that he is a special child. She adopts him and goes home with him. On their way home, they pass by the insurance company, and the insurance agent sees the cloned Adam and thinks he is the real Adam. He confronts him and calls by his name, but the cloned Adam seems lost. Not wanting to expose herself, Emma has to stop him from asking him any more questions by walking out on him. Adam decides to give it another try with the last strand of Dawn's hair. After cloning her, he gives her to his other male colleague at the university, Professor Bentley. But, still, it turns out to be another failure. He poisons her drink and burns her as usual. Yet again, he doesn't want to give up, and still looks for a way to find her hair and clone her again. The insurance agent confronts him after his class with the students. After the last encounter with the cloned Adam, he decides to call him by his name, just to know if he recognizes him. Since he is the real Adam, he does. Adam does not want to hear about the insurance money, so he ignores him and leaves for his house. The same day in his house, he does not stop thinking of how to clone her. Luckily for him, he finds a strand of her hair in her hairbrush, and he is happy he can try it all over again. The next day, while trying to clone her, he changes the method and decides to clone her into an adult, but it fails. He visits his therapist, and he explains how he keeps trying to clone her, and ends up failing every single time. However, he does not want to stop, and he can't even understand how he feels anymore. The therapist tells him it is depression. Meanwhile, not knowing what to do, the insurance agent visits Dawn's parents. He informs them of the insurance money and how he thinks Adam murdered Dawn just to receive the money. But they do not believe his accusations, because they know how much Adam loves their daughter. However, the agent is convinced that Adam planned the act just to get paid. Dawn's parents reach out to Adam, and he finally explains to them how he has been trying to clone their daughter, but keeps failing over and over again. Dawn's father feels it is wrong, but her mom wants to see her daughter again, so convinces her husband that it is not a bad idea. Wanting his wife to be happy, they decide to support Adam. They help him find another hair strand in her room so he can clone their daughter. They hope it will work out and they will be able to see their daughter again. Adam starts the cloning process over again and decides to make Dawn a baby so her parents can take care of her till adulthood. He feels it will not fail this time. After all, her parents will care for her. While he is in the lab, the insurance agent sneaks into his house to search for evidence against him. He finds nothing serious except for the blood splatter in the bathroom, so he decides to wait till he comes back. Meanwhile, Adam clones Dawn again as a baby and gives her to her parents. They are happy to see their daughter and are grateful to him for bringing her back to them. He implores them to take care of her the same way they did before, so he can get his wife back. On getting home, he is surprised to see the insurance agent in his house. The agent accuses him of murdering his wife because of the insurance money and because he is in love with Emma. Adam tries to explain it to him, but he won't hear him out because he wants him to explain to the judge. However, Adam finds out he is after the money. Feeling relaxed that he has nabbed Adam, he asks for a drink, and Adam seizes the opportunity to give him a poison drink, the same poison he employed for one of the clones. Adam then decides to clone him so he won't raise any suspicion. He takes some strands of his hair before he burns him. He clones him and hands him over to the cops. Meanwhile, Dawn is all grown up, and her parents raised her the same way they did before. They take her to Adam's house and ask her to come home whenever she likes. Finally, he is so happy to have her back, and can't wait to live with her. Adam tries his best to be a perfect husband to the clone, but she is not in love with him. He explains to her that she was his wife before she passed. He tries everything to make her love him, but it does not work. Once again, he explains everything to his therapist, and she advises him to let her go and learn to live without her. So, he figures it is time to let her go. Adam returns to his house, unties Dawn, and tells her it is time to go home. Her parents come to take her home and wish that Adam finds happiness and love with someone else. But he decides to let go completely and buries her remaining ashes. He comes back home and checks his box outside to see if he has any letters. He discovers that the insurance money has been issued to him, but he does not want the money. Meanwhile, Emma tries to get along with the Adam she cloned. She tries as much as possible to make him act like the actual Adam, but it does not work out. Since she can't end his life, she decides to live with him, to compensate herself. While trying to force kisses on the cloned Adam, the real Adam thinks of her in his lab and decides to call her. Initially, she refuses to pick up because she is trying to get the cloned Adam to kiss her. Emma eventually picks up his call. He explains to her that he has been able to successfully clone Dawn, but she doesn't love him. So he decided to let her go, and she is happy for him, but thinks she does not stand a chance with him. The real Adam finds out she's in the library over the phone and rushes out of the lab to see her. He meets a shocking scene. He finds her kissing his clone. There's no more hiding now. So, Emma explains she had to clone him when it seemed as if he was not ready to let go of his late wife. At last, he now knows how she feels about him. Then the real Adam thinks it is better to take his own clone to Dawn's clone. When he takes his clone to meet Dawn's clone, their hearts click, and it's as if they are made for each other. He realizes Dawn's clone can only fall in love with another clone, not a real human. Adam gives Dawn's parents the insurance money and advises them to send his clone and Dawn's clone far away, to a place where it is safe so as not to raise suspicion. He decides to say his final goodbye to the clones. He gives his clone a ring and advises him to use it to propose to Dawn's clone. He wishes them well and leaves. Dawn's parents see the clones off to their car as they leave for a faraway place for their safety. Later on, the real Adam and Emma get along so well, especially as he has decided to give love another chance. This is a dream come true for Emma, and she is happy to be with the man she loves. They both agree to take it one step at a time as they get to know each other more and fall in love. Meanwhile, Adam's clone proposes to Dawn's clone, and she agrees to marry him. Theirs isn't a hard decision to make. They are also in love and made for each other. After all the cloning processes, Adam later learned the hard way that no matter how much we love some people, we can't always be with them. Some will stay and some will leave, but we have to accept it to prevent causing ourselves more heartaches.